What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, I appreciate y'all checking it out. So today I wanted to talk about my top 5, I guess, tips on getting into riding motorcycles and like not being afraid of your motorcycle. I guess I don't really like using that word afraid, because I don't know if that's the right reason, but maybe it's just not being intimidated by your motorcycle. So after you buy your first motorcycle, you might find yourself not riding it as much as you thought you were going to, because you know, you got to put on all your gear and you have to wear a helmet, you got to wear pants, you got to do all this stuff because you're trying to stay safe, right? And at the same time, you're intimidated by the bike that you have because you're not comfortable riding yet. So that's why I wanted to give you guys these tips on getting more comfortable riding your bike. So my first tip is going to be, if you have a friend or a family member that has a car that's stick shift, I would ask them if you could learn how to drive a stick shift car, because one of the most important things about learning to ride a motorcycle is understanding how to use your clutch and shifting gears. And if you can learn that on 4 wheels rather than 2, and just understand how the clutch works, it's going to save you potentially a loop out or a burnout, or I don't know, you guys have all seen the fail videos on YouTube. You know what can happen. So my second tip, if you are not able to find a stick shift car to learn on, is going to be taking the motorcycle safety course, right? So obviously you're going to have to take this in most states, I would assume. I know in Florida you have to take it to get your motorcycle license. And I got mine 10 years ago when I was 16. And I didn't think I was going to learn anything when I was in the class. I didn't think I was going to learn much. I had already known how to ride just from messing around on little pocket bikes and stuff like that growing up. But you do learn a lot about how to ride a motorcycle in that class. It's little things that you wouldn't think about, like using your hand signals and, you know, checking your rear, checking your mirrors when you come to a stop to make sure somebody doesn't hit you from behind. So stuff like that is really important to make you feel comfortable on your bike, right? We got some weather coming in here. It's Florida, so pretty much every day around 4 o'clock usually it starts raining. So trying to beat the rain today. So my third tip is going to be to find an empty parking lot and take your motorcycle there, even if you have to trailer it there or find a friend that's more comfortable that can ride it there for you. And just get used to your clutch, get used to the throttle, understanding how much power the bike you have has. You know, working on your brakes, right? A lot of people when they first start riding are intimidated of their front brake, right? But the front brake is a very important tool that you need to understand how to use if you're going to be riding your motorcycle a lot. I don't really like talking at the stoplight, so I'll wait till we get going. My fourth tip would be to find a friend that rides, and maybe for the first couple months that you ride, don't go up by yourself and just ride with a friend. I've rode with some of my buddies while they were getting comfortable riding. I think it really helps, especially for like an example, I wasn't even riding with these people. I just came up behind them. It was a male and a female, and they were riding, and we were at a stoplight. They're both in front of me, and the female, when she went to go take off, she stalled her bike, and I was behind her, so I just kind of, you know, put my hand up to let the car know behind us that we weren't taking off automatically. And you know, I think it made her feel more comfortable about the situation. And like I said, we weren't even riding together. I would just pull it up next to her on a light, and you know, because we've all been there before, right? Everybody's got to start somewhere, right? My fifth and final tip, I think it's super important to get something like a trail bike or something you can ride off-road to get comfortable riding without cars around you, right? If you stall, it's not a big deal if you're riding off-road. You just start the bike back up. Nobody's gonna hit you from behind or anything like that. And another thing is, I mean, I've been talking a lot about the clutch and the throttle and going, right? And we haven't talked much about stopping, which is just as important. I mean, if you watch people that race, the most impressive thing, I mean, yeah, it's impressive how they can get traction anywhere, but what's impressive to me is how quick they can brake, right? So there's not many times when you're on the street, if you're riding safe, where you're gonna have to slam on your brakes, hopefully, right? You don't want to be too close to the car in front of you, and you want to make sure you know where you're going, right? But if you're riding off-road, you're gonna be slamming on your brakes multiple times a lap or multiple times a trail, right? If you're riding on a trail, you have trees, you have all these obstacles that you have to think about and maneuver around. So if you can get comfortable doing that, once it's time to ride your street bike, it's gonna be easy, right? You're not gonna be intimidated by it. You're gonna feel comfortable because you know you've developed the skills away from all these cars that could just destroy you, right? So, but just to give you all a quick story about the way I started riding, right? So my first vehicle was a stick shift car, so I got comfortable with the clutch and everything on a car. And then like I said, I also had pocket bikes growing up and everything like that with clutches on them, but I had the car, and then I bought a street bike when I was in college after I got my motorcycle license. And I'm going to be honest with you, I never rode the bike because I was afraid, I was intimidated of my bike, right? I wasn't confident in my skills. So a couple of my friends bought dirt bikes, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try to get into riding dirt bikes, right? And at first, I'll be honest with you, I hated it, right? The learning curve for riding off-road is steep. It is very hard. But a few years later, right, after riding off-road, I got another road bike. I got this Harley Iron 883, and it's I mean, yeah, it's, I guess, quote unquote a beginner bike, and I don't consider myself a beginner rider. I just consider myself a poor rider who could only afford this bike. But I do love the way this bike looks, don't get me wrong, I love this bike. But yeah, I mean, now when it's time to ride this bike, I'm not intimidated by it at all. I feel very comfortable on the street. I mean, my wife loves riding on the back of the bike as well, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I would not feel comfortable with that responsibility if I hadn't had the experience riding off-road. I'm gonna turn around here, guys, and head back before I get rained on. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give me a little off-roading right here. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I'm gonna keep trying to put some videos out like this. I just got my moto vlog set up for the streets the way I wanted it, or at least better than it was before. So I'm gonna keep trying to drop these videos. If you guys liked it, give the video a like and consider subscribing. I'd appreciate it. Have a good day. Peace.